Hey, what's going on, folks? Welcome back. Today, I need to talk a little bit about Gavin Newsom. It seems that the governor of California has this brilliant idea that he should get President Joe Biden in his final days in office to somehow crack down on the media and keep them from telling everyone what a terrible job he's doing.
What?
Now, of course, that's not the way he phrases it.
What?
I know, you're shocked. Obviously, Gavin Newsom, someone who will stand up and actually acknowledge his mistakes, right?
I'm gonna tell him.
Don't you dare.
Yeah, not so much. Let's watch this real quick.
I ask you, we've got to deal with this misinformation. There are hurricane force winds of mis and disinformation lies. People want to divide this country, and we're going to have to address that as well. And it breaks my heart as people are suffering and struggling that we're up against those hurricane forces as well. And that's just a point of personal privilege that I share that with you because it infects real people.
Yeah, it does affect real people. But let's talk about this misinformation. What misinformation is actually being shared? That Gavin Newsom kind of sucks at his job. Really, that's all it is. That's what boils down to, folks. Gavin Newsom sucks at his job. The things that have been called misinformation is, oh yeah, the reservoirs were completely full and it wasn't enough, or we couldn't get it on the fire enough to actually stop the fire. But there was at least one reservoir that was supposed to have like 117 million gallons of water that had zero. Firefighters were able to access 3 million gallons from a backup tank. That lasted them about 3 hours. 3 hours. Now, if you figure 1 million gallons per hour, which is what 3 million versus 3 hours breaks down to, then 117 million gallons of water, we're talking, days of firefighting, right? All of this would be available. It would be there for the firefighters. It wasn't there. It's been empty since February. It's January, meaning 11 months. This has been empty. 11 months. And so they're like, well, we're gonna fix the lid. There's no construction equipment around it. There is nothing indicating they have even started working on anything. Now, I get there's delays. You're dealing with contractors, you're dealing with third parties. Sure. Why not keep it filled until the very last moment? This is an important reservoir. This is 117 million gallons that can be used to fight forest fires. This is the misinformation Gavin Newsom is talking about. This is what he's taking an issue with, folks. And make no mistake, he wants to silence your ability to criticize him. Anything he doesn't want you to say will be labeled misinformation. It's why there should never be laws against misinformation. It's not that people telling falsehoods or passing inaccurate information is a wonderful thing. Free speech exists. And part of that is because the government has a vested interest in declaring things misinformation when it hurts them. COVID. Oh, no. COVID didn't come out of a Chinese lab. That's misinformation. Now it looks like it did. Masks won't do anything. Then suddenly, well, yeah, you don't need an N95 mask. That wouldn't do anything, 3 months ago. Now, though, you need to wear a face panty, and that'll keep the virus at bay. Oh, you need to take this experimental vaccine. There won't be any harmful side effects. Saying otherwise, that's misinformation, right? The problem with misinformation is that it's a label that gets thrown around and used to hide what people are actually doing, right? When the government can decide what's information and what's not, they'll crack down on the wrong things. And make no mistake, we've seen this, right? The Twitter files, the information we found where they were doing the same thing to Facebook, in any social media site. Presumably they've done it with YouTube. I don't know for a fact, but it's a thing. It's a thing, folks, right? It's just how it is, right? What Gavin Newsom wants is to hide the misinformation that is really accurate information about the reservoir, about the fact that they've done nothing to deal with underbrush, which is what catches fire and spreads fire so quickly. How there aren't fire breaks like they're used to. How controlled burns are such a problem. The correct place to have this discussion and understand whether something's true or not, that's a discussion we should have. But the right place to have it is in the public eye, not behind the scenes, not underground. When you silence anybody, all you do is prove, to at least them that they're right. Gavin Newsom sucks at his job. That is just, that's clear as day, right? Local officials in LA absolutely suck. They cut funding to the fire department, $20 million. $20 million budget cut to the fire department. What was it, last year or just a few months ago? And at the same time, they're so focused on DEI, they literally had a woman stand there or sit there, say in a commercial that someone vetted, someone edited and said, this looks like a winner. And then put on Fox in the middle of a show about Los Angeles firefighters, where she said, if I got to pull you out of a fire, you did something to get you in that position. It is the most insane thing I have ever heard. And this is what somebody thought was a good idea. Somebody actually thought this was a winning strategy. Oh my God. It's insane. How do you think this? How? Well, they did. They did. And now Gavin Newsom doesn't want anyone to criticize this. They're calling it all misinformation. DEI didn't contribute to what's happening. That's misinformation. Empty reservoirs causing, problems. Misinformation. Fire hydrants running dry. Misinformation. All kinds of stuff has been labeled misinformation. I mean, even their empty reservoir. CNN, I believe, was like, oh, no, the reservoirs are full. Thing's been empty for almost a year. Damn near a year at this point, and it got labeled misinformation. Why? It's a label, right? And even if it was all heartfelt, even if it was actual misinformation, Governor Newsom, there's this thing called the First Amendment. I know you're not big on the Second Amendment. That's been pretty obvious. But the First Amendment means I can say whatever the fuck I want. And right now, I'm going to tell you, you suck at your job. You've always sucked at your job. So many other people in Los Angeles and in California suck at their jobs. All you're good for is a haircut and spouting some platitudes that lefties eat up. That's all you're good for. That's not misinformation. That's 100% accurate. And I will stand by that to my dying day. Might be my opinion, but it ain't misinformation. Neither is a lot of the stuff that you're wanting to silence people for. It's bullshit. This is the land of the free, motherfucker. You want to start telling people what they can and can't say? Yeah. It's a good thing you've got all that gun control. That's all I'm going to say about that, because you push that far enough, you start getting to the realm of tyranny. And, guys, I don't know about you, but I'm not a big fan of tyranny. How about you? So, it's Gavin Newsom. The upside is, in a week, Joe Biden is gone, right? Anything he does to crack down on misinformation is going to go out the window next Monday. Donald Trump isn't going to play Gavin Newsom's game. I'm not saying he wouldn't try to stamp down fake news. I do a terrible Trump impression. I admit it. But, I was like, I'm not saying he wouldn't necessarily want to tamp down it, but he's not going to do it for Gavin Newsom. That's not going to freaking happen. And that's the saving grace of our American system. Both sides get to play. And so, Gavin, suck it up. Get better at your job. Get the fires out. And then take steps to make sure it doesn't happen again. And quit with the climate change bullshit. Climate change did not drain the reservoirs. It did not make you bad at your job. It did not, make it where people can't deal with underbrush. None of that's climate change. So shut the fuck up on that front. All right, I just don't have any goddamn use for it. So, on that note, I'm about to check out because I'm starting to get a headache talking about this bullshit. If you're still here, do me a favor, hit like, hit subscribe, all that jazz, notification bell, all that. and I will see you all next time.